Hello. In this lunchtime video, we're going to go over Git aliases and how to configure them and what you'd use them for. So Git aliases for me is just productivity gains really. For all those commands you can't quite remember, and just for making your workflow a lot faster. So for me, I use Tilix at the moment. So it should all be contained in your git config file, and I think you can configure it externally. So if we go to git config commands, you'll get a list of how to do it. It's always Atlassian, those guys, their tutorials, good documentation, guys. So here we go, something like along the lines of git config, then you use your email. And then whether you want to have it locally or global. I've done this in the past, but I found it a lot more straightforward now, just to go in and edit the file manually in the terminal. So if we open Tilix up again here, and we have fish shell, and git config is just located in your home folder. So with Bash and Mac OS and Linux, it will be in on the tilde squiggle, as I like to call it, and it will be the same for Windows if you're using Bash on Windows. So it's Windows Subsystem Linux for Windows, and you can go through my blog, and there's a couple of guides on setting up your Windows environment for using Windows Subsystem Linux for that. But for this, with what we're looking at now, we want to check out. It's already been in the history of my fish shell here. So if you go to nano, then tilde /.git config, dot files, there's usually used for configuration for things like this. So we'll have dot files for .npm, rc, babel rc. I mean, that's per project usually. Actually, let's just take a look at my ones. So we do allow, and we're going to go. God, Scott type. Do you even /dot? Let's see what we get here. So not a great deal. I think it would probably be quicker from. Oh, here we go. Here they are: bash history, bash logout, bash rc, git config. It's my hyper config, npm config. So the dot files are used just for configuration. So for git config, that's what we're going to look at now. And we'll take a look at that with nano. I don't use Vim or Vi. I'm not a psychopath. So doing that will open up the .git config file. You can see it up here. And this is what we can now start amending. So for me, I've been running with this setup for a couple of years now. But one of the advantages of aliases is obviously not having to type. So for this command here, I've got A, that's my add. So this would just be add everything. So one of the disadvantages is if you're SSHing into a server and you need to do some operations there with Git, then you need to remember your usual commands. But luckily, the majority of the time when you're doing that, you just need the simple, straightforward commands like push, pull, pull and build in those sort of circumstances. So, but it does bite you every now and then not being able to remember certain things. Like one for me is what's the ones which I always forget. Yeah, just for branching stuff and committing stuff. Just because I have these alias write down really to as little as possible. So let's just go over this. So we have aliases here, and then from these aliases, we can specify the shortcut we want to use, and then the actual git command here. And then I've got them for adding stuff, checking, making a branch, listing all the branches, which I never remember this one, committing code. Obviously with this AM, you then need to add your message afterwards, git clone, git checkout, git diff, and lots of other commands. This is a good one that I found the other day, for listing, anything on a log. This gives a really nice sort of color output and a big history and all of the branch lines as well. That was on an Egghead.io video, which I can't remember the author of it now, but I've shared it on Twitter previously. But it's a really handy tool. There's some other things I always forget, like prune, for tags, pushing tags, and rebasing, which I do a lot of. If you caught up with the live stream I did a while back on just maintaining a lot of my projects, I rebase a lot of the code coming in from Renovate, which is like a dependency bot. So that's it really. So we've got the aliases here, and then obviously because this is the all of git config, we've got some other configuration details as well. File editor nano, I always prefer that over Vi and Vim. And this file mode, I don't think we need this on here because I think this is a legacy from my using Windows. That was just for permissions with Windows Subsystem Linux, so that doesn't really need to be in there anymore. Let's get rid of that. Write this out as Control O to write out the file, hit enter, and then Control X to exit. So I'm showing you that, but what gives? So let's take a look at it in action. So before we go any further, I've got my git aliased as well. So instead of having to type git, branch, or git add, git commit, I've just got this alias down to G because 3 letters is a lot. Okay, let's check out some repositories, and see what we've got on my personal site. So if I do git pull, and then it's basically just the aliased version of all the git commands. So there you are. There's a lot of them out there. I will link the Egghead.io video course on Git as well. I'm not sure if it's for community or if it's paid, but it's a really good resource as well. And there's great documentation out there as well for it. But this is just me going through my sort of my workflow and how I use Git alias. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and see you again soon. Bye.